Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Nico Robin, part 1. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Coming of Chaos, link is in the description, also subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. At the Valley of the End, two powers clashed for dominance. Naruto was fighting with all his and part of the Kyuubi's might to overpower Sasuke and take him back to the village. Sasuke, well, he was fighting with all his and part of the Curse Seal's might to kill his best friend to gain ultimate power to kill his brother. After they jumped at each other with their respective attacks, a strange fear of energy encased the two dueling fighters, both fighters reaching their limits. But, being as stubborn as they both are, they both pushed every ounce of chakra they had into their attacks. However, after they did this, they both felt like they were on fire. Sasuke was blasted out of the ball of pure power. Naruto wasn't so lucky. Kakashi, who had just got there, saw Sasuke fly out of the sphere and crash into the ground unconscious. Looking back at the sphere, he realized that it was smaller than before and getting smaller. Watching in horror, Kakashi saw Naruto just disappear before his very eyes. Well, Looking down, he picked up Sasuke, not very delicately, as he had just lost any and all respect he once held for the Uchiha. He started back to the village, all the while one thought going through, as if in his mind, Tsunade is going to kill this traitor. And somehow he found himself not caring. Inside the vortex, Naruto, who had been pulled into his mind, was running to the Kyuubi cage in fear at seeing the seal being broken down and fading away. Kyuubi? What the hell is going on? Why is the seal falling apart? Naruto yells in total panic as the Kyuubi just growls in reply. It was because of the damnable curse seal the Uchiha was using. Kyuubi roared out as he went on. The seal is breaking down and soon it will be destroyed. Along with me. He yells the last part in fury at his incoming demise, while Naruto looks like he was going to really lose it. How is that even possible? How do we fix it? Naruto yelled. Well, it's true he didn't like the Kyuubi, he did not want to see the fox demon destroyed, and somehow the idea of the seal also going to seem like a bad thing to Naruto might have to do with the fact that the seal was inside him. We can't. Kyuubi replied, making Naruto's eyes go wide. Not only that, but it seems that the mix between my chakras and those of the cursed seals has caused a rip between worlds to open. What's happening now? Asked Naruto in shock, the situation worsened by the second. You're being pulled into a new world, and because Sasuke is not coming with you, I don't think you'll ever be able to come back here again. Kyuubi said with a look of pity, as he could feel how the boy's heart sink at that, and while it's true he hated Naruto with passion, hell, there was only two other humans Kyuubi hated more. Madara of the Uchiha clan, and that bastard of a father the boy had, but I respect the boy for his dream and wouldn't mind having the Hokage as his Jinchuriki. I don't have time for this, if there is to be any part of me left I need to act now. Kyuubi thought as he sent his red demonic chakra crawling from the depths of what was left of his cage and had it quickly enveloped to surprise Naruto. Hey, what are you doing now? Naruto yells. My death is unavoidable, this much I know. But I will not disappear completely. Kyuubi roared out loud as Naruto felt all the chakra being pushed into his body. So I am flooding your system with what is left of my power, which is at most 30% now, to do with it as you please, but wherever you go, try not to die too young. Kyuubi finished as the last of the broken seal came down on them with one last thought going through the fox's mind. Goodbye Naruto, we won't see each other again. With that, everything went black. Rellen Island. About 50 feet over the beach, a rift opened, emitting Naruto, who fell out. His first sensation was falling. Splash. He hit the middle of the sea right next to the beach. His last conscious thought, damn, Yu Sasuke. He lost consciousness. The blue-haired woman, who looked to be in her mid to late 30s, wearing a brown ragged cloak covering her right shoulder and a bucket and fishing rod in her left hand, happened to be on her way home from fishing when she saw the rift open up, causing her to step back in surprise as the ragged cloak she was wearing started blowing from the wind that the rift made, showing no arm on the right side. She saw the body of the boy floating on the surface, not moving. Without thinking, she dove in and made her way to him, rolling the boy over so that his face was out of the water, and started pulling him to safety. She dragged him up on the bank and took a look at him, drawing back in horror. What the hell happened to him? The lady had exclaimed upon seeing all the wounds he had, her eyes wide even more when said wounds started healing right before her eyes at super speed. For 5 whole minutes she did nothing but watch as every fatal, major, and minor wound closed up and disappear from the boy's body without so much as a scar. Well, that was new. The lady said to the boy, then put her hand on his chest and could feel it move every time he breathed. That is a good sign, she said, picking the boy up in one arm. Since leaving you here is not a good idea, I guess you're coming home with me. The lady said, walking to where her bucket of fish and fishing rod was at, while thinking that she'd have the town doctor look at him until the boy wake and then they go from there. If this had been 13 years ago, I'd be freaking out about this, wouldn't I? The lady mused as she thought back to the 3 years she'd spent in the Grand Line, that the Grand Line for you, it makes the abnormal seem normal. Waking up to the bucket of fish and fishing rod, she sighs in annoyance. At times like this I wish I still had my right arm. The lady mutters while putting the boy down, then putting a bucket and rod on top of him before carefully picking the boy back up and heading to her cabin to call the doctor. Years later. The 13-year-old Naruto Uzumaki could now be seen running out of the forest and into town with what looked like a compound in his hand. Looking around, he spotted his target, a bar. "Hey, Ikaria Beach." Naruto yelled, slamming open the doors. Needless to say, this piqued the interest of all the groups in the bar, even more so when a woman jumped up off her chair, grabbed it, and promptly threw the thing at the blonde who called her that and knocked him down. "How many times have I told you not to call me that?" The woman named Ikaria yells, and while Naruto would normally have got back up and yelled back at her, he knew that was not a good idea. Yeah, sorry Ikaria-san," Naruto said, waking up with a chair and handing it to her before showing the composition. "But I wanted to ask about this composition," Naruto said, as Ikaruga took hold of the composition and gained a small smile as it brought back all kinds of memories. She was also glad to see that Naruto was making great work at coming out of his depression. After Naruto had woken up, it had been easy for Ikaria to get him to tell her where he came from, and while she had been surprised at heart he was from another world, but not by much. It was the complete mess of depression Naruto had become that really had her worry. His eyes and face had turned dark red from his many nights of tears, and because he didn't eat much at first, the boy became a bit thin. Ikaruga did her best to comfort him and help the boy to move on with his life. Yes, he could never go home again, but he was still alive, and that's what matters. "Really, boy, how many times must I tell you not to call me that?" Ikaria said as she gave him a look, having never been one to like being called old, but let it go for now as she sat down at the thing in her hand. "This is what is called eternal poses, and from the name of it, I'd it from one of the islands you get to early on in the Grand Line called Cold Rock Island." "Where did you get this anyway?" Ikaria asked. "Found it washed up on the beach. Anyway, can you tell me more about your time as a treasure hunter?" That got a real big smile on her face at being able to talk about her past as a treasure hunter, or treasurer, as they were sometimes called. "Well, what do you want to hear about time? Because, as you know, I was pretty infamous and had a 173 million berry bounty on my head for all the troubles I made for the world government." Ikaria said, trying not to sound too cocky at her fame and getting a look of excitement from Naruto. Well, he may have gotten over depression. The only time Naruto really had a look of joy on his face was when he was hearing about her many past adventures. "Anyone? Just tell me a new one I haven't heard of." Ikaria nodded, but then a question came to mind that she had been meaning to ask for a while now. "Why do you like hearing so much about my adventures in the Grand Line anyway?" she asked, and while Ikaria didn't think it would matter much, she did want to know. "Because I want to become a treasure hunter too. And travel the world just like you did," Naruto exclaimed in excitement, getting a look of shock from Ikaria. But, what about school, your friends, that cute little girl Mai who likes you?" Ikaria said, then grimaced, as though she had swallowed something particularly unpleasant, and then uttered 12 words she had never expected to use together. "I thought you were going to make me into a real granny." While Ikaria hated being called old in any way, Ikaria was happy to be the one responsible for Naruto and looked forward to the day where she had her own grandkids to spoil. "Meh, school is boring, my friends just want to play all the time, and yeah, Mai's nice and all, but I think Ken likes her too. Besides, I was raised as a shinobi, so I think I can take whatever the sea can throw at me," Naruto said, causing Ikaria to see that she really needed to take the hazardous risk of going to that sea, though to him. "If you're talking about that power of yours, then I need to remind you that you can't control it. At all," Ikaria said, causing Naruto to grimace. 3 months ago, Ikaria asked to see one of his jutsus and found out that the only he could use was Rasengan. Shadow clone, and everything else was gone, and not only that, but because he lost the shadow clone, Naruto could only use the Rasengan up to stage 2, but that wasn't what Ikaria was getting at. Naruto could now feel the demonic chakras of Kyuubi, and unlike before he could draw it out easily without the need to ask first, but when Ikaria had asked to see how much he could pull out, now they had found to their dismay that wasn't the best idea after all. "If you recall, I had to use all my power just to knock you out before you attacked the town," Ikaria said, reminding him with a serious look on her face. "Yeah, okay, I get it." Naruto finally understood everything she was saying. "I have a long way to go, and I need a lot of training, but you'll see I'll be one of the greatest, no, the greatest treasure hunter ever," Naruto declared with a look that told her he really meant it. "I'll even find the treasure you were after, the sapphire sword of the ocean." You're seriously going to look for the sapphire sword? Ikaria asked stunned. Naruto nodded. Even though you know, it was looking for that sword that caused me to lose the arm. Again Naruto nodded. Ikaria sighed as she got up. I guess there is only one thing to do. She said looking at him, then grinned at the boy. I'm going to have to train you so that you don't get yourself killed in only 1 year, won't I? Naruto grinned widely at this and nodded vigorously as they walked out the door. Come on, let us go down to the beach to get started. Ikaria said laughing at Naruto's enthusiasm. Okay. Naruto yells. Oh, and Naruto. Yeah? You still have to go to school. Ikaria smirked as the boy's face dropped. 3 years later, Rellen Island Beach. The 16-year-old Naruto could now be seen standing on the water about a mile from the beach, with Ikaria floating a few feet away from him. Even with everything Ikaria had seen in her lifetime, this was the one thing that she thought was truly amazing. If she had this power years ago, she might not have lost her arm. Ikaria was training Naruto on getting better control of the Kyuubi chakras, but she called it red. The goal of doing this was to make sure he didn't lose control again. Why am I doing this again? Something she was getting tired of telling him. Like I said, well, the Kyuubi or whatever it is called may be gone. That power is still new to you, so doing things like this will help you in controlling it better. I can control it just fine. I don't need any more training with how strong I am already. Naruto replied with a smug look. Yes, you're strong, I know, but you still have time to get stronger, even more so since you don't know the limit of your power yet. Ikaria tried to explain. That's so? He said with an extremely apathetic look. If looks could kill Naruto's, be a smoldering pile of ash from the glare she sent him. Look boy, if you go into the Grand Line with that attitude you'll most likely die in the first 3 days. Ikaria said coldly, causing Naruto to flinch. I once thought like you, thinking that, as long as I have power I can do anything. That I was invincible and immortal. I was wrong. Naruto, I never told you how I lost my arm, have I? Ikaria asked to calm down, and there was some hesitation from Naruto at her question for a moment. You said it was lost when you first entered the new world. Naruto replied, and Ikaria closed her eyes and nodded before looking at him again. That's right, but do you know how I lost it? Naruto shook his head at this. Naruto, when I first entered the new world I stopped at an island to stock up on supplies before setting off again. But a nasty storm came out of nowhere and all ships were told to wait out the storm. Ikaria had Naruto's complete attention. Storms were something that I could swim from one island to the next without much trouble, so this didn't mean much to me. Ikaria eyes downcast at this as she went on with her story. However, the storm that I saw had to have been one of the worst I've ever seen. Self-preservation told me to just stay on the island until the storm stopped, but the part of me that loved a challenge wanted to push forward and try to pass the storm to the next island. I think I know where this leads, Naruto mused sadly. You challenged the storm. And lost, realizing there was no way for me to pass it. I tried to head back when a Sea King came before me. I managed to beat the Sea King and get back to the island, but only at the cost of my arm. Looking up into Naruto's eyes, Ikaria made sure to get her point across. Naruto, I don't know if I'd have been able to reach my dream or not, but I do know that I hadn't been so foolhardy and knew my limits. I could have gone on much longer than I did. Eyes then take on a softer look. I'm not saying you can't become a great treasurer, just that it takes time. Ikaria smiled when she saw him nodded. You're young, you have all the time in the world, so there is no need for you to go running off headstrong and making the same mistake I did. Naruto sighed, but nodded again, then smiled. Yeah, but it doesn't matter how long it takes, I'm still going to be the best treasurer in the world. Ikaria laughed at his words and went along with it. You'd better be, anything less, and you'd make me look bad. The two burst out laughing at this. 10 years later. Well, that boy's finally gone, Ikaria-san. Said a now adult Mai working at the bar. An old man named Kinbo just grumbled. I never thought he'd actually do it. I wonder if he'll even last a year out there on his own. Have some faith, Kinbo, he is my boy after all. Said Ikaria before turning to the front of the bar. I would like to buy everyone a round of drinks. This is a joyous occasion my kid just set out to see. A large cheer came from all the patrons in the bar as Ikaria looked out the window to the ocean with a smile. Good luck, Naruto. In an old fishing boat that was floating out in the sea, a 25-year-old Naruto could be seen looking through a black book with a goofy smile on his face. Grinning as he looks up at the gulls flying overhead. Naruto had become a tall man who stood at about 6'2". He wore black boots, covered mostly by a pair of black pants and a brown leather belt. He had a zipped-up black sleeveless vest with a high collar. He also wore black fingerless gloves with metal plates placed over the knuckles. The right glove ran halfway up his forearm, while the left ran up to just below his shoulder. Boy, it sure is a nice day to head out to sea. He quipped looking back down at the black book. Now let's see. It seems it'll be a while before I hit the spot where I need to be for this voyage, but I got all the time in the world so there's no worry. Naruto said back, jumping up and throwing his hands into the air. Look out world, here I come. The greatest treasure hunter you've ever seen, believe it. Kinku Island 3 months later. The waters of East Blue this morning are as calm as the morning sun, out in the sea about 10 miles away from Kinku Island, where our favorite blonde fishing boat can be seen floating out in the middle. However, though it was Naruto's boat, at the moment he wasn't on it. They'd add, how long do you think he'll be? A boy with stick-straight black hair and his chocolate brown eyes wearing a blue shirt and white shorts asked. A man looking like an older version wearing a brown jumpsuit looked down to his son from the crane that had been added to the ship. I don't know son, but he told us to wait here, so that's just what we'll do. He said with a hard look knowing his boy wanted to go under, as well. The boy pout said he was right. But it's been 3 hours. What if he's in trouble? Maybe I should just splash. Naruto and Iasen. The boy exclaimed at seeing the blonde-haired man's head pop out of the water. Taking off his air mask, Naruto shook off the water on his face before looking up. Hey Mick, yo Manson-san, here the hook to the net. Pull him up. Naruto calls his hook to the crane's hook. And Iasen, does this mean you find it? Mick asks in excitement while watching Naruto rise up out of the water and stand on it like he was standing on ground. Man, that cool. He has to teach me how to do that one day. Mick thought. Yep, it all here. Naruto said with a grin as the rope tied to the hook began rising out of the water. I have to admit I had my doubts, but it looks like you came through. Manson said as the crane pulled out a net holding over half a dozen treasure chests from the water. The Manson's house. After stopping by the gold exchange place, Mr. Manson, his son, and Naruto, who was carrying a suitcase, now walk into the Manson small home at about 5 p.m. The great smell of food cooking reached their noses. Walking into the kitchen, we see a brown hair woman with Mick chocolate brown eyes finishing setting everyone's plates. Oh, you guys are back. So how did the hunt go today? Ms. Manson asked as her son came running over to her with a big grin on his face. It was just as Naruto and Iasen said, there were over 15 million buried right outside the island. Mick said much to his mom's surprise, when they had agreed to let Naruto stay there it had been because he gave them 2 weeks worth of rent. She and her husband hadn't thought he was telling the truth about him being a treasure hunter. Yeah, well it's more like 13,940,000 after the gold exchange rate. Naruto sheepishly said, rubbing the back of his head. Mr. Manson came clapping him on the back. Hey, the fact that you are telling the truth about being is a huge shock, as it is, but that you really know what you're doing is even more of an treasure hunter. Forget the exchange rate, let us just be happy with what we got, okay? Mr. Manson said, as Naruto just gave him a dry smirk. You're just happy you're getting 25%. Mr. Manson just grinned as they sat at the table to eat. Ms. Manson made a pot roast for dinner. After eating, Naruto began giving them their part of the find, leaving him with still over 9,590,000. Well, that is it, I guess it is time for me to get going. Naruto said, gathering his things as he got ready. Left much to everyone's surprise, Mick was the first to speak up. Hey, you can't leave yet, you still have to show me how to walk on water. Ms. Manson looked at her husband, who just a careless shrug. Weird as it is, yes, the guy can really walk on water. Ms. Manson just shook her head before looking back at the packing up blonde. Putting aside how odd you are, don't you think you can stay a while longer? Ms. Manson asked as her and husband came to Naruto. My wife is right, it is not going to kill you to stay a day longer. Thank you, but I'm just a rookie treasure hunter. I have to keep moving if I'm going to be known as the best. Naruto said, grinning back at them. However, just then the front door burst open and someone ran in. It was their next door neighbor and he was holding a shotgun. Michael, quick, grab your guns. We need to get to the docks right now. The man said, shaking, as Naruto and the others jumped at their feet. Why, what is going on? Michael asked as everyone was on their toes. Pirates. They're attacking the docks. The man yelled, gaining a look of shock on their faces. However, Naruto's turned to a bestial grin as he began going through his duffel bag and pull out a long katana with a black handle. It has a cross-shaped guard and a black sheath, though mostly black. The sheath and the handle both have thin yet elaborate gold designs on them. Naruto and Iasen, are you going to fight as well? Mick asks with stars in his eyes as Naruto puts the katana under his belt. Yep, been wondering when I run into some pirates. Naruto said, moving to the door with Michael and his friend. You guys, be careful. Ms. Manson pulled her son by the ear to keep him from following. The three then left and made their way to the dock. Kinku Island docks. The Marines and the town folks were doing everything they could to hold the pirates back, but they were losing ground fast. Look out. One of the Marines yelled as a cannonball flew out at them and exploded, blowing the Marines in front of it away and into unconsciousness. Why don't you just give up? You can't stop us. The captain of the pirate said with a cocky smirk as his crew moved forward. All we want is to restock our supplies, maybe stay, and have a little fun too. He added, looking at the town women with a perverted look, making the town men growl. But we're glad the fighting stopped for a moment. The captain in charge of the Marines walked out in front. If it's supplies you want, we'll give you all you need, but in return I ask that your crew leave this town at once. Captain said bitterly. He didn't like making deals with pirates, but at this point he had no choice but to try to reason with them. You can see the smugness on the pirate captain's face. See now the proper way to deal with the situation. Pirate captain said, leaning back. But this town has some fine looking women, I don't see why we can't stay for a week or two. The Marines captain growled, knowing now they had to fight and hoped that in some way they'd win. Well, that might be one reason right there. A voice said, causing everyone to turn to see Naruto standing right behind them. The blonde who just walked into the docks strode right past the Marine captain and was standing in front of the pirates. Naruto then, heads tilting like some curious puppy. Really, I was hoping that the attacking pirates would be someone more famous like Boogie the Clown or Don Krieg. But you guys are, who are you? Naruto asks nearly, causing everyone to face fault. The pirate captain gained a vine on his face. Uzumaki-san, you shouldn't make them any more angrier than they already that, as far Michael Manson got, as one of the nameless pirate pulled a flintlock pistol out of his sash and pointed it at Naruto's head at blank range with an audible click. Too late. For insulting us like that, he got too bam. That, as far as the pirate got, for just a moment he felt a hand touch the back of his head before being smashed face first into the ground, likely having a skull. The pirates were shocked to see one of their own taken down so quickly and easily at the hands of a single man. Even the Marines had their jaws on the ground at seeing this. How dare you? What kind of dirty? Oh, shut up, how many people have you guys killed? You're not saints, so stop acting like you've got any right to complain. Naruto inquired, a big hint of smugness in his voice. Get him. The pirate captain yelled as his crew charged with their swords raised. Marines at the ready. The Marines captain calls, but stops at Naruto holding his hand up. Relax, I got this. Naruto said before racing off to the oncoming pirates. What happened next was anyone's guess, as the battle literally ended in 10 seconds. Whether it be a trick of the eyes, or if the blonde had a devil fruit, or whatever. All they could tell you is this. 10 seconds ago at least 2 dozen pirates were charging at the blonde. Next they were hitting the ground left and right, likely to have been knocked out. Well, now this is a surprise. The pirate captain said, seeing all his men on the ground groaning, not all that sure what happened. What the hell? I thought pirates were supposed to be strong. Naruto mutters, having not even really been trying. At this rate, if I want to get a real fight, I'll have to go to the Grand Line. Naruto thought with a frown. Clap clap clap, but the clapping caught his attention as he looked up and saw the pirate captain grinning down to him. Not bad at all. He said, standing up, showing off his wild and aggressive appearance, dark hair growing out past his shoulders, a long thin scar running down the left side of his face, while wearing an elegant eye patch having a gold-like lining and a chain as one of the straps, and he also wear a red captain coat. I don't suppose I could convince you to join my crew? The pirate captain said, pulling out a giant battle axe. Why would I join a no-talent crew like your? Boom, as soon as Naruto's sentence ended, the pirate captain jumped down right in front of him. You might have beaten my crew, but don't look down on Django the giant. He said, standing at 9 feet 7 inches. It is my job to look down on you. Somebody's been eating their veggies. Naruto remarked. The blonde showed no sign of intimidation to the man tower over him, but was ready to go. This guy is fast. That's how he beat my crew so quickly. Django thought of readying his axe. Trying to hit him is pointless, even though I'm stronger, he is faster. Taking a stand with his axe held out high, Naruto likewise held up his fist, ready for anything. However, as long as I put enough strength in my plow, then even if he dodges my attack, he should be sent flying from the sheer force of it slamming into the ground. Django thought once more, raising his axe into the air, leaving an opening for me to attack. With that, Django slammed his axe down at Naruto, aiming to cut him, but knowing he would dodge, however much to his and everyone else's surprise, Naruto didn't move and instead caught the axe in his fingerless glove's hand. How? Django gasped as he tried to yank his axe out of Naruto's grasp, but it was a futile effort. Looks like your size has nothing to do with your strength. Naruto mutters, then lets go of the blade, causing the pirate to stumble backward slightly. Seeing an open, Naruto swiftly delivered a powerful uppercut to the Django's stomach. Spit flew from his mouth as he flew up into the sky for a moment and fell to the stone ground with a loud thud, obviously unconscious. Seriously? Naruto complained as he looked down at all the pirates on the ground. This was way too easy. Everyone at the dock looked on in shock at seeing all those pirates taken out so easily when they had been having so much trouble. Turning around, Naruto headed back to the stunned crowd who was making way for him. Hey Manson-san, since we're done here, let us head back. I still need to get my stuff from your home. Naruto said. Michael slowly nodded, heading back to town. Everyone at the dock were still in shock at what they saw, well everyone, but the Marines captain who was staring at Naruto, as if he just won a prize. Petty Officer Kenny. The Marines captain called, as a young Marines with red hair came to his side. Yes sir. The petty officer said with an salad. At the den ready for use. The Marines captain said, as Officer Kenny saluted him once more, and was off. This is my lucky day. If I tell Marine Vice Admiral Stainless about this guy, and if he joins the Marines, I'll get that promotion I've been dreaming of in no time. The Marines captain thought with a grin. Night time. The sun had just set, and from what Naruto heard, the Battle Axe's pirates had all had put into jail. Michael Manson and his son were helping Naruto pack the last of his things into his boat. Are you sure you don't want to stay to pick up the bounty? Michael asked once more. I heard that guy had a 7 million bounty on his head. Nah, I'm a treasure hunter, not a bounty hunter, Naruto said, pulling the anchor up. I only beat them because they were causing you guys trouble. Well, it was real. Naruto said, waving to them as his boat pulled off. Naruto and Iasen. You better come back and teach me how to walk on water like you said you would. Nick yells, causing parents to grin and Naruto to laugh. Sure kid, you bet. Naruto yells back. Take care of yourself, boy. Michael called out. Come back again someday. Ms. Manson added. Thanks, and I will. Naruto waves as he sails off into the deep blue sea. Rellen Island 2 months later. The group of bandits marching through a small town is the scene we come to as they stop at a local bar, knowing their target is inside. So you're sure it's him, Bachi? The tallish one of their group was wearing a red cloak. The call Bachi, who had a blue mohawk and holding 2 switchblades, nodded. Yeah boss, at him, demon eyes Naruto the treasure hunter. Bachi exclaimed with a grin. If we take him out we'll be famous and rich. Yeah, they say he also has over 500 million from his hunts. The boss said, lucking his lips at the mere thought of all that money being his. I don't know boss, they also say he's a powerful bounty hunter, right next to Urano Zoro. One of the smaller bandits spoke nervously at the thought of fighting the blonde. Doesn't matter. There were 50 of us, and only one of us. Bachi spoke up, ready to see some blood. Plus we got the boss too. That right, now let's go. The boss yelled, kicking open the doors to the bar, causing everyone who was inside having fun to be quiet as the bandits piled, nearly filling up the bar, and their eyes were all on the one single blonde sitting at a stool eating an apple pie and a sword resting next to his stool. I'll say this once, I got no use for any of you here, so if you don't want to get hurt, stay where you are. The command had everyone, even the bartender who was cleaning his glass, stop moving, but the blonde just kept on eating. As for you, he yells at the blonde. Your demon eyes Naruto, right? This causes the blind to stop mid-bite. I am, and you are. Naruto spoke for the first time since they came in. Jim. Chainsaw Jim. The boss of the Rellen Mountain Bandits. He yells, throwing the cloak off to show the pair of chainsaws on his arms. Naruto turns his head just a little before sighing, and turns back. Great, a low-level bandit looking to make a score. Naruto mumbled, taking another bite of his pie. It goes without saying the bandits were not happy to hear that. Hunk. Are you looking down on us? Jim yelled, but Naruto didn't seem to pay him any mind and just kept on eating, pissing them off more. Turning back to them, Naruto raised an eyebrow at the chainsaws now in full roar. I really am not in the mood. Naruto mutters, turning away from them once more. If you guys leave now, you won't get hurt. Those words was the last drop in the bucket as Boss Jim gave out a giant war cry before rushing at the blonde who back was still to him and. Come on. Hurry. A Marines captain yelled as he and his men rushed over to the bar the mountain bandits were said to have come. We're here. He shouted as everyone came to a stop. As much as he wanted to rush in, the Marines captain had to make sure his men were ready for this. Now remember men, Chainsaw Jim's weak points are his elbow joints, so aim for there. As for the rest of the bandits, just take them out. The Marines captain ordered, inching to take down the man he had been hunting for nearly a year now. Yes, captain. All his men yelled at once, readying their muskets as their leader kicked the door in. Chainsaw Jim. You're under. Before the Marines captain could even get off half of his speech, his words die in his throat at the scene he came into. The bar was a mess, that much he saw coming, but what he didn't see coming was all the bandits being beaten half to death. What happened here? The Marines captain barely got out while looking over. The bandits were still on the ground groaning in pain, other HT half their body smash into the walls or ceiling, but that stood out the most to him was Chainsaw Jim's. His chainsaws had been ripped off and destroyed, and he was a bloody mess in a wall. CC captain. The bartender calls out from his hiding place, seeing him as the Marines captain walks over to the man. I see the Marines sent some help but, as you can see, it is a little too late. Bartender said, and the Marines nodded. Yes, I can see that, but can you tell me what happened here? Bartender sighs, not really sure what to say. I guess the best way to say it is, half an hour ago a blonde-haired man came in here to get something to eat. Bartender began. Then in just 20 minutes Chainsaw Jim and his mountain bandits came out of nowhere calling him Naruto, you know, that famous bounty hunter. Are you for real? The Marines captain said, unable to believe such a person was here without him knowing. Yes, and it only takes a minute for the fighting to start. Bartender waves his hand through his hair as his eyes widen. It all seemed like it happened in a flash. One moment they were rushing at him, the next they were beaten into the ground. And where is he now? The Marines captain finally spoke, wanting to meet the guy who did this. After it was all over, he just got up and left. The bartender, but then added. I think the one thing that scared me the most. Bartender felt a chill run up his back as the words came from his mouth. Is that through it all he never uses his sword? Unknown place. Walking down the road leading where he parks his ship, we see our favorite blonde carrying a large bag of supplies and reading a newspaper while getting a little pissed off. The demon eyes the treasure hunter. One of the two twin demons of the East Blue Sea. What the hell is this crap? Naruto yelled, throwing the newspaper in the air. Naruto had only taken down pirates and bandits when he ran into them, and that twin demon bullshits. He never even met Roronoa Zoro, let alone work with him. And to make matters worse, rumor had it some vice admiral was looking for him. Doesn't seem like I can stay in East Blue much longer. Naruto mutters while reaching his ship. Logtown. 1 month later. Naruto stood at the entrance to Logtown after docking his boat. It was a very large town. Much bigger than Rellen Island. Wow, this place hasn't changed at all. Naruto said, smiling at being back here, already knowing where he needed to go. Quickly headed to the shipping port, worker handing him some and a list of things to have there waiting for him when he got back. Heading down one of Logue's main roads, Naruto came up to his target, a weapons shop. Ding, the doorbell ring, causing a short man with black hair that goes to the sides of his head to wake up. He has tan skin and wears a blue shirt. His nose is red, also. A customer. The short man, half asleep, asked until the young man came into view, making him go wide-eyed at realizing who it was. Yo, Ippin-san, long time no see. Naruto said, grinning at the middle-aged man. Naruto? Ippin exclaimed in excitement, jumping over his counter, and the blonde was surprised at how much bigger he got. You're huge, kid. How you been? He asks, glad to see the kid and happy for a customer. Naruto sheepishly smiles before replying. Great, just great. But I kind of need this blade of mine clean. Naruto said, handing him a long katana with a black handle and a cross-shaped guard. Lie to you, Bashirie, but it looks like I haven't even used it once. Ippin said, somewhat unhappy that one of his best blades hadn't been used in 10 years. Naruto gave a sheepish laugh at that as he was handed the sword back. Sorry, but I haven't really ran into a fight that called for its use. Naruto replied, and Ippin sighs. He knew the kid was strong, even so there wasn't one person in this blasted East Blue Sea that had what it took to make this guy go all out. Fine, but I'd better hear about you using this baby one day. Ippin said, heading to the back while Naruto looked around. The store had a lot more weapons than the last time he was there, and while scanning the place his eyes stopped at a barrel that seemed to be holding nothing. A cheap sword, yet he could feel a dark aura coming from it, turning to walk over there to it. Ding, the doorbell ring atop as a large man with short white hair wearing a big white coat with black fur on it and black pants walk in. He opened his mouth and waves of smoke came out of it. Captain Smoker. Naruto grinned darkly while Smoker just crossed his arms and leant in the doorway. I'd heard you were back in town, wanted to see for myself. Smoker said, looking him up and down. You've grown up. Thanks, but I won't be staying long. Naruto replied, walking back over to the counter. Smoker just looked on for a moment before speaking again. You could stay for good, why not join the Marines now that you're old enough? Naruto's grin disappeared as his eyelids lowered and any humor left him. Sorry, but to my knowledge, at least 5 out of the 9 levels of hell haven't froze over yet. The look on Smoker's face clearly said he wasn't happy with the blonde words. Why not? Smoker asked, but then felt like smacking himself as he knew full well why Naruto wouldn't join. Boy, someday you're gonna have to let go of what happened to all of them a year ago. The two just stare at one another without saying a word, a heavy atmosphere around them, to the point that one might think a fight would break out. Hey, I'm back. And Ippin had just walked in holding 3 web stones and 2 cans of cleaning grease. However, he stopped dead in his tracks at seeing Smoker in his shop, staring down Naruto and frowning. Smoker? Who said you could come in? Ippin grew, heading behind his counter and handed Naruto the items while the blonde asked how much, but the shopkeeper just waved him off. Forget it, my wife would kill me if she found out I charged to carry a kid. Ippin said, sitting back at his counter. Just make sure you put that blade to good use." Naruto just nodded and turned to the doorway. Smoker was still there holding his lock on Naruto as he began walking forward. It seemed like forever before he reached him, but as the two came face to face, Ipin feared having war on his hand when Smoker spoke at last. "I'm not gonna try to force you to join." Smokers stop for a moment, making sure their eyes are locked. "Just make sure whatever type of person you become, it is not one that I have to hunt down." At the end of his words, they gave each other powerful glare before Naruto finally walked past, heading back to the docks, now wanting to leave the town as soon as possible. "Please stay in the East Blue Sea." "So this is Reverse Mountain?" Naruto exclaimed from his boat, looking at the doorway into the Grand Line as well as to the next stage of his life. The grin on his face looked like it would split his face in half. The meeting he had with Smoker may have been a buzzkill, but this is what he was waiting for. A new adventure was about to start for him and he was raring to go. "Get ready for the Grand Line, because you've never seen someone like me before," Naruto yelled, sailing off. Little garden. "Well, now this is a mighty fine pickle I've gotten myself in," Naruto mused, looking at his boat that had been brought on land by a new friend of his so he can try and repair it. "Ijajajajaja. That's because you're an idiot. Jijaja. Shut up, giant Aoji-san," Naruto yells at the massive man behind him, laughing his ass off. It had been 3 weeks since he entered the Grand Line, and the first place sailed to was a whiskey peak, which he later found out was in fact a den of bounty hunters. So after taking out a few dozen of them, the young treasurer quickly split that scene going on with his journey, but met a snag in his plans. The fishing boat he was using damn near sank before he reached Little Garden. Giant Yacha. "But it is true, what were you thinking coming to the Grand Line with a boat in that shape?" The giant laughed, and Naruto found himself joining in. "Well, Ikaria Bachu always said I was bad at planning ahead." They both laugh even harder at that, knowing it was true. Having nothing else to do, Dori got up, picking up his huge broadsword with him. "Well, I'm hungry, so I'll go get us something to eat," he said, walking off, and Naruto knew he had been lucky to make such a great friend when he first got to the island. When Naruto had got here, he first began looking around the large forest for a town or something, but ended up running into the giant warrior Dori, who he was sure he have to fight at first, but turned out the guy was cool as hell and glad to have someone else on the island to talk to. Though Sari had been nice enough to bring his boat on land, that still didn't solve his problem, which was how the hell he was gonna get off this island. The keel, which is like his ship's backbone, was broken. This was the most critical part of most ships, and it being broken meant the ship could never be fixed and would practically sink on the way to the next island. Man, what a pain. Naruto sighed. With Dori had been walking through the jungle looking for something to eat. Thanks to the climate of the island, it was a perfect habitat for dinosaurs, meaning there was always a meal on hand. Seeing a Diplodocus knew he had found dinner, but then upon looking closer, to his surprise, another human was here, playing on the dinosaur's head, and seemed to be having fun, at least onto the thing that ate him. Acting fast, he quickly rushed there in a flash and cut the long neck's head off, with the teenage human falling out of its neck and landed in his hand. Jaya. "I see I've found another lively human on Little Garden. I, Dori, greatest warrior of Elbaf, welcome you," Dori bellowed once more. "Wow, giant." The boy gasped, while the blue-haired girl down below him eyes went wide open at this. "This is the first time I saw one of them," she whispered while trying to wake up what looked like a big duck. "I always thought they were just stories. I would like to ask both of you to come to my house." The girl gasps at realizing he saw her as well. "With Naruto?" "Nope, it's gone," Naruto mutters, jumping off his ship. He had hoped he would come to do enough replies to the ship for one last voyage, but the keel was too far gone. His only hope was to build a small boat and pray it would get him close enough to an island. "Too bad, I really wanted to do one last voyage on this old ship." Naruto sighs sadly before hearing the giant footsteps of Dori. Turning to him, Naruto was surprised to see him carrying two humans like him and a horse-eyes sport bill. "What the hell? Giant Yaja. I come back bearing food and new friends," Dori bellowed, carrying a dinosaur's head and setting down the boy and girl, the latter looking like she was scared out of her mind. "When you said you had another guest, I thought he'd be a giant too," the boy said, pouting, and Naruto wasn't too sure how to take that or what to say at all. "Luffy-san, that rude," the girl reprimed him, but this guy Luffy just laughed, confusing Naruto as to what was so funny. "Sorry about that, Vivi," Luffy said before confusing even more Naruto by holding out his hand. "Hi, I'm Luffy. Let's be friends." Naruto just blinked at the kid and Vivi's face fainted and wondered how this guy was her captain again. It hadn't taken long for Dori to start a fire and get the food cooking, but Luffy being Luffy was eating the food while it was getting done. "I gotta admit, this is one damn good lunch box," Naruto said, eating half of Luffy lunch with Dori eating the rest. "Yeah, it is, but it's too damn small to really enjoy." Dory added with Luffy finishing off a big chunk of meat he ripped from the bone. Glad you guys like it, I'd have to kick your asses if you didn't. Naruto and Dory just laugh at that. Just try it, kid, I'd beat the crap out of you. Naruto said, causing Dory to laugh even harder. What funny humans I have here. Gee, Dory said, chuckling while Vivi just looked on, noticing how well the three were getting along. Did these people really just meet? It feels like they have known each other for at least 10 years. Vivi said to herself as Karoo her giant duck kept sipping his drink next to her. By the way, where are you two from anyway? Luffy asks as Dory and Naruto turn to him. I came from a place called Elubabu, somewhere in the Grand Line. Dory replied first. Well, unlike him, I come from East Blue. Naruto said, causing Luffy to perk up. Hey, me too. Luffy cheered and Naruto laughed, but then Luffy took on a thinking pose and cocked his head to the side. Naruto, for some reason I feel like I've heard that name before. Luffy said, but before Naruto could do anything about it he spoke again. Oh well, anyway, why are you guys here? Naruto's sweat dropped on the kid, this guy is all over the place. Naruto thought. Well, I kaboom. Everyone turned to a volcano eruption, Dory grinded, and Naruto just sighs, placing his face in the palm of his hand. Time to go, huh? Naruto asks with a small smile as Dory picks up his shield and sword. I'll leave you to explain the rest. The giant said, marching off leaving a confused Luffy and Vivi behind. Naruto-san, what is going on? Vivi asks the blonde who walked over to where the dinosaur meat was. Well, I guess the best way to put it is that guy and another giant are locked in some kind of duel. Naruto answers by cutting himself a piece while Luffy raises an eyebrow. A duel? Luffy asks. Yep, and to make a long story short, he and some other giant on this island had some type of disagreement that led to them battling it out for the last 100 years. Naruto said, shocking the two. They have been fighting for 100 years. Luffy shouted in surprise as Naruto laughed. That's what I said too, but it turns out giants live about 3 times longer than we do. Naruto told them to take a bite. And get this, the two dumbasses have actually forgotten the whole reason the duel even started. What? But if they forget it, then what will be gained from such a duel? Vivi shouted, but then shook her head. No, even if they hadn't forgotten, it all sounds like they are just trying to murder one another. The blue-haired girl exclaimed, but Naruto just grinned well after taking a bite of his meat. Don't just smile, tell me. What the purpose of this fight? Any Vivi's words ended when Luffy placed his hand over her mouth. Stop it. It's not like that. Luffy said, as Naruto nodded, still holding his meat, then placed his left hand on top of the other one. That's right, it's about pride. Naruto said, as the two giants finally clash and Luffy falls on the ground. Gigantic, this is gigantic. The young pirate exclaimed as they watched a battle of giants with both aiming for fatal blows. Dory, aiming to gut his fellow giant, had to duck and block an axe slash with his helmet because the larger giant jumped high into the air. In the end they knocked one another down with their shields and started laughing about having over 73,400 ties. Sorry, I got some rum from my new guest. Brogy yells, still laughing. Gee, Jayaja. Great. We just ran out, give me some. Dory yells back, still laughing. Within minutes Dory was back explaining to them that 2 of Luffy's crew members were over with Brogy. Usopp and Nami, huh? I guess they like adventures too. Luffy said as Naruto smiled, still finding it hard to believe the young man before him was really the captain of a pirate ship, but Vivi, wanting to know something, took over his attention. Naruto-san, early you said it takes 1 year for the compass to reset. Vivi asked and Naruto nodded. Yeah, it's one of the 2 reasons I'm still here. The other being my ship broke down. Naruto said, pointing to the ship that laid next to Dory's home. Oh god, that's not good, I can't stay here for a year. What's more, I don't know what'll happen to my kingdom during that time. Vivi cried. 1 year is too long, don't you guys have any better ways? Luffy asks him not to want to stay that long. Dory grinds. Well, the winner of this duel will get an eternal pose to Elubabu. Want to try it and get it too? Dory asked the boy, but he just huffed. Why would I want to go there when we just want to get to the next island? Luffy replied, and Naruto seemed to perk up at that. The next island? Naruto asks, but Vivi cuts in. Yeah, we have to get to Alabasta, otherwise it will be meaningless to us. Vivi told Dory. Hey guys. Naruto said, trying to get a word in. Well, in that case. Dory started seeming like he was thinking of something. Gee, Jayaja. Just set sail and hope you reach the place. It was a risk, but so was coming to the Grand Line, right? Dory laughs as Luffy agrees with him. That's true. Why don't I do that then? Luffy said, actually taking it into consideration. We will arrive there anyway. Vivi mumbled as she and Naruto sweat dropped at the boy, not sure if he was for real. Seeing Dory taking another drink, Naruto decided to speak up. Hey, if you guys are trying to reach the next island, then I might have a way that can help us both out. Naruto said to bring their attention to him. Really, Vivi asks, while hoping it was as crazy as the one Dory just gave them. Yeah, you see, and boom. Naruto, Luffy, and Vivi gasp at the loud explosion coming from Dory's mouth. Wah. Vivi gasps at him. The rum exploded. Luffy yelled while Naruto's eyes widened in horror of watching Dory's roll to the back of his head and seemingly pass out. Mr. Giant. Luffy shouted. Mr. Dory. Vivi calls out as he falls back. Did that run really just blow up? Naruto asked in a disbelieving tone. But why did it blow up? Were there bombs inside it? Luffy sat on top of the giant and was happy to feel him still breathing. That's a dirty trick if there was one. Did the other giant put them in? Vivi replied, looking at her captain. There is no way. Naruto said as the two turned to see him glaring at them. They have been battling for 100 years. There is no way Brogy will do such a thing after all this time. That right, Naruto, he wouldn't. Dory said, overshadowing them as he got back up, surprising the three humans. And you, Naruto, have already been here 3 weeks, so I don't believe you did it either. You can still move, Vivi gasps while Naruto and Luffy look on with worry. Boy, you're hurt. You need to lay back down. Naruto said, getting to his feet, but Dory just shook his head. No, Naruto, these two are clearly here to take my life, so I will take care of them quickly. Dory said as Vivi gasped. But there was no way we could do this. Vivi cried out as Luffy narrowed his eyes at the giant. Then who? Naruto has been here for weeks and has not done anything bad, and Brogy would never do such a thing. So that leaves just you. Dory said as he prepared his sword. Vivi, now scared as she was before, ran over to Luffy to tell him they should run away and was startled when Naruto jumped up high into the sky, reaching above Dory's shoulders, surprising the giant. Sorry, old man, but I need you to sleep for a while. Naruto said before sending a powerful kick to Dory's jaw, causing the giant to hit the ground hard, having been knocked out. Vivi looked on and in shock and fear while Luffy lowered his head, his hat shadowing his eyes. You take him out in one blow? Vivi asks quietly as Naruto lands in front of them with his head down. Hey, don't be stupid, there is no one who comes to do that. Naruto said, rubbing his neck, but did not raise his head. There is a spot in the jaw, you see, if it hits then you're gonna pass out no matter how big you are. I see, well at least he stops moving, we should Vivi was cut off when Luffy, for no reason at all, put his hat on top of her head before pushing the blue-haired girl back a few feet. Stay back, Vivi, the air around him just drops. Luffy said, getting into a battle stand. Vivi looked at Luffy like he was crazy for a moment, but upon turning to Naruto his eyes were red with slits and she could feel a powerful intent to kill coming from him. Naruto-san. Vivi gasped, taking a step back as he glared coldly at the two. What Dory said was true, you know, I didn't do it and neither did Brogy. Naruto said, placing a hand on top of the sword at his waist, tilting a little back so it would hit the ground, enabling him to lean on his blade. That leaves just you two. Unless you got a reason as to why I shouldn't think you did it, then we're gonna have a problem. Naruto told them, and Vivi took a few more steps back in fear of the blonde, but Luffy just glared back, standing his ground. I don't have to tell you anything. Luffy replied as the stare down intensified. Then I'm gonna have to kill ya. Naruto said, balling up his fist, with Luffy replied with 6 dangerous words. I'd like to see you try. For one brief moment all sound went away as the three just at one another, not saying a word, as if waiting for the right moment to attack. Then a single left blowing in the air stopped in front of them, just floating before slowly falling to the ground, and the second it hit. Gumu Gumu, no pistol. Luffy yells, and to Naruto's surprise his arm is shot out and stretches to him. Devil fruit user. This just might be fun. Naruto thought, grabbing the arm and using it to slam the young pirate into the giant's home with great force. Luffy smashed his way out of the rubble, pissed off and ready for his next attack. Gumu Gumu, no straight blade axe. Luffy yells, slamming a stretched out leg over Naruto, but the blonde merely sidesteps the attack. Seeing an opening, Naruto jump up to where Luffy's body was, surprising him, and give a hard punch to the face, drawing blood and knocking the boy senseless. Vivi watches as Luffy hits the ground a few feet away from her, unable to believe a guy who took out a Baroque Works agent was being overpowered. Damn it, that really hurt. Luffy yells and gets a gasp from Vivi. How can a punch hurt a rubber man? Vivi cried as Luffy huffed. Yeah, I know, and what with this guy, he's super strong. Luffy said, panting as Naruto landed in front of them, with a bored look on his face. Since you're a brat, I'll be nice and give you a heads up on 2 things. Naruto said, cracking neck. 1, the way you fight is a joke. You're not even using your devil fruit to its fullest. Naruto told Luffy to get a glare from the boy. Your attacks are too open and wide and too easy for me to counter. And the second heads up is the fact that. Naruto paused for a moment, making sure both of them were listening to him. Devil fruits don't work on me. Both Luffy and Vivi gasped at hearing this as they rushed forward and elbowed Luffy in the chest, and Luffy knew he was telling the truth, as any other attack would have just bounced off harmlessly. Jumping back, Luffy shot his arms back, not ready to give up just yet. Gumu Gumu, no bazooka. Luffy yells fire at both arms. Naruto sidesteps the attack like before, but raises an eyebrow at the grinding kid. Gumu Gumu no, Luffy shouted, grabbing the trees behind Naruto. Bell. Launching his body forward, Luffy smashed his head into the blonde, knocking him off his feet and into a boulder 10 feet away, the dust clearing, and Naruto had a bestial grin on his face. Okay, he got me that time. Naruto thought about stretching his left leg back, so he was kneeling on his right one, then placed his right arm next to the knee leg and his left arm out in front of him. Crimson Demon Roar. Naruto howled at Luffy, whose eyes went wide at the force of the roar slamming into him like a meteor, and sent the boy crashing into the forest, smashing him through trees, rocks, and all. What was that? Vivi asked, froze in place at what she just saw. He roared. He roared. All he did was roar. So why? Vivi's mind just couldn't seem to process it because it made no sense. Was this guy even human? She jumps at hearing him move to his feet. Well, I don't think he'll be getting up from that. Naruto glaring at her as Vivi jumped back, wondering if she was next, but just then they heard a rumbling sound coming toward them. Naruto's eyes narrowed at the sound, hearing it, but not seeing anything. Then to his surprise, a crack appeared in the ground behind him. Wow. Then smash his way out, Luffy jumps out into the air and quickly lands behind a dumbfounded Naruto. Seeing his chance, Luffy reeled his fist back and gave the blonde a Gumu Gumu no pistol to the gut, sending him flying back. Asshole, that last one really hurt. Luffy shouted to Naruto, who just came to a stop. Then grinded. But thanks for that hint earlier about me not using my full power. Luffy said, throwing his arm back, stretching it as far as he can, and twisting it. Pause, I just thought of an awesome attack. Naruto, seeing this, gave an insane dark grin of his own and held his arm back, glowing with red power. Both of them gave one another one more dark smile before launching forward. Gumu Gumu rifles. Iron Fist of the Crimson Demon. The moment their attacks clashed, the ground below them cratered deeply from the sheer force of their event. Vivi was blown back into a tree by the force. Naruto and Luffy were completely face to face, staring into each other's eyes. This kid's, his eyes are not rotten. Naruto thought of pulling back, surprising Luffy as his eyes turned back to their sea blue state. It wasn't you didn't do it. Naruto said at last. Luffy didn't say anything at first, but nodded. Good, glad we cleared that up. Luffy replied as Vivi blinked at the two, wondering if she missed something. Letting go of the tree, she slowly walked forward. Is everything okay now? She asked, hoping the two didn't start wailing on one another again. Luffy nodded. Yeah, just a misunderstanding. Luffy said, causing her to sweat drop. Are all men like this? If so, I can see why the giants started their duel. Vivi thought while Naruto put his hand on his hips and huff. Maybe, but that still doesn't change the fact that someone spiked the giant's rum with bombs. Naruto said, bring their attention back to the matter at hand. Well, don't even think about saying it was someone in my crew. We got no cowards like that. Luffy told the blonde and said. The person looked at him hard for a moment before nodding. I'll take your word at face value for now, but if I didn't do it and you and your crew didn't, that can only mean one thing. Naruto stated, and both Luffy and Vivi knew where he was getting at. There is someone else on this island. Vivi said, walking to them. Kaboom, the volcano erupts, causing the three to turn to it in horror and a giant hand to slam into the ground. Giant Aoji-san. You can't go right now. Naruto yelled, knowing only death awaited if he went. He's right, you're too injured to fight. Vivi added, but all they were given was a bloody smile. I am the warrior Dory. Cough, at least let me fight in honor of Elubabu. He said, getting up, holding his shield and sword, turning his back to them. You can't. There is no way we can let Bam. Vivi gasps, watching Dory turn around as quick as lightning and hitting Naruto and Luffy with his shield, sending them flying a mile or two away. Don't pant, worry. Strong guys like that won't get hurt from such a blow. Then be back off, so just wait here. Dory said, coughing up more blood. Vivi turned to the giant, hoping to talk some sense into him. But why are you so willing to continue this duel even with how badly you're hurt? Vivi asked Dory, who was walking away. You are children born 10 or 20 years ago, you know nothing of the highest honor held Elubabu. Sorry, said, reading his sword, but stopped to look back at Vivi one last time and smiled sadly. However, I am sorry for suspecting you, tell your captain I said that. The giant words ended and he marched off to battle. Watching him go, Vivi fall to her knees in despair, wondering why this had to happen to such a good person. Well, what do we have here? A familiar voice spoke out to her, jolting to her feet. Vivi turned to see two people she most certainly never waited to see again. You guys. Naruto and Luffy. Having been thrown all the way into a mountainside, Naruto and Luffy were to say the least not in a good mood as the pirate captain got up and dusted himself off. Man, that really hurt. Hey, are you okay? Luffy said, looking down at Naruto, who was still lying down, but awake. No, I'm pissed. Naruto said, setting it up. I swear if he lives through this I'm gonna kill him. Naruto jumped to his feet, then sighs at seeing how far they were from the giant's home. Damn, it'll take us a good 10 minutes to get back. Naruto mutters as Luffy shoots out his arms to a pair of trees that were far away. Then we'd better get going. Gumu gumu, no rocket. With that, Luffy was sent flying off as Naruto knee down, pumping into his legs and blasting off after him. Thanks to a series of power jumps from Naruto and rockets from Luffy, they made it back to camp, but the moment Luffy landed, his jaw dropped in horror. Peru. He shouted, running over to the beat-up sports bill on the ground as Naruto landed a few feet away and was surprised to see the duck hurt and Vivi nowhere around. Hey, what happened to him, and what the hell happened to my ship? Naruto screams, running over to what used to be his ship, which was nothing but a pile of blown up wooden pieces. Quickly going through the mass, he was thankful to find 3 large black duffel bags, clearly meaning whoever did this didn't search his ship, just destroyed it. Picking up the bags, he walked back over to Luffy, who managed to wake up Kuru. I think it is a safe bet to say that whoever did this are the ones who attacked Dory. Luffy nodded with a furious expression on his face. Yeah, and they've taken Vivi. Naruto actually felt somewhat bad for attacking them now and knew they had to find her quickly. I'm pretty good at tracking by scent, so give me a minute to put my bags in Dory's place and we'll go track her down. Naruto said, walking away while Luffy just cracked his knuckles. Hurry up, I need to kick somebody's ass. This is bad. Zoro, Nami, Vivi, and Broji-san are in deep trouble. Usopp whispered, looking at the scene before him. He and Nami had been separated from each other while running away from a dinosaur. Usopp had been looking all over for her when ran into this. A massive wax birthday cake, shaped with wax arrangement with a pillar on top of the lower floors of the cake, then makes a spinning half dome on top of that, with burning candles. Zoro, Nami, and Vivi were imprisoned on the lower level on the cake, and Broji was lying on the ground next to the cake, with large swords made out of wax, being used to pin Broji's hands and feet to the ground to prevent the giant from escaping. To make things even worse, Mr. 3 and Miss Gildenwick, along with those two from Whiskey Peak MR.5 and Miss Valentine, were the ones who had captured them. No doubt about it, if I go out there now, I'll be killed for sure. Usopp tried to think of some way to save his friends. Well, it wouldn't be so bad if I just freed Zoro, right? He'd take out all the bad guys while I work on freeing Nami and Vivi next. Usopp muttered quietly, but the question was how to free Zoro without drawing the attention of the Baroque Works agents. Cough, I can't breathe. Nami choked out as the mist got heavier, turning them into wax faster than before. If this candy mist go into our lungs, we will completely become candles. Vivi stated in horror as MR.3 laughed in delight at his work of art. That's right. If possible, I want you to suffer. His insane words caught their attention. Because the piece of art that I want should represent suffering and fear. Just become my candles with your hearts full of fear. He cackled once again at what he see as their incoming demise, but just as the thought of cutting his own legs entered Zoro's mind. Crunch. The loud sound of crunching trees and rock had everyone's heads shooting up in the air. Crunch. Smash crunch. Everyone turned to the right as the sound was getting closer and closer before a dark figure darted out of the forest, jumping over the Baroque Works agents and landing between them and the birthday cake. Who the hell is that? MR.5 gasped as Miss Valentine and MR.3 stare wide-eyed at the new blonde hair arrival as less than a second later a giant sport bill carrying a boy in a straw hat came smashing his way through the trees, as well causing the agents to scatter out of the way before being run over by the lunatic captain and his giant duck. Luffy. Nami yells and enjoys seeing him. Kuru. Vivi shouted, so thankful that her sports bill was still alive, while Zoro had his eyes locked on the blonde. That guy is Zoro's eyes wide, a little wondering if he was really who he thought he was. Boy. Good job, Naruto. Okay, let's kick their asses. Luffy shouted as the duck gave out a loud quack, ready to go. Off to the side, Usopp was thankful because any longer and he would have had to jump in and likely get himself killed. So you are the man worth the most in East Blue? MR.3 said to bring the attention to him. It seems that the Marines are going down. Look at his hairstyle, it looks really stupid. Luffy exclaimed with a dumbfounded expression, causing nearly everyone to sweat. Shut up. Mr. 3 yelled back as Naruto gave him a hard look. You're right, it is stupid, and is this Dumbus hair in a number 3 shape with the top on fire? Naruto asks with the same expression as Luffy's on his face. Just shut the hell up, both of you. MR.3 yelled again, as Nami spoke up next. Luffy worries about that later. We need you to destroy the pole on top before we become candle dolls. Nami yells, as the two turn his attention to the three on the birthday cake. Hey, you guys are in trouble too? Luffy asked, as Zoro spoke up next. Not really, just destroy that pole, and I'll take care of the rest. Zoro said, shouldering his sword, as Luffy grinned back. Sure. Luffy replied, but Mr. 3 just smirked at the boy. I won't allow you to do that. MR.3 told him with a cocky smile, but then raised an eyebrow at Naruto just staring at him. What? He asked, but the blonde just stared for a minute more. It really is a stupid hairstyle. Shut the hell up about that already. MR.3L's getting pissed off now. Luffy just cracks his knuckles with a determined look, and his eye. I don't know what that is, but I will destroy it. Luffy said, but MR.3 clearly wasn't impressed, as stood there with his arms crossed, and Naruto stepped up next to Luffy. Hey kid, if you can take care of that guy on your own, then I'll handle freeing your crewmates. Naruto said, as Luffy nodded back, about to just head over to the giant wax cake. He quickly backstepped, as something flowed past him. Did someone just flick a booger at me? Naruto gasped, really grossed out now. Boom. However, that explosion snapped him out of it as he turned to where the booger flowed, then to where it came from in mild shock, as a brown-skinned man with sunglasses and wearing a red coat held his arm out to him. Damn, I missed. He muttered, pulling his arm back and pulling out a blowgun, as the lady in the yellow dress laughed. Sorry, but we can't let you do that. Miss Valentine told him, grinning, but Naruto just looked on before pointing to MR.5. Hey you, booger flick guy. MR.5 looked annoyed at his new nickname. What? He growled. By any chance are you the one who blew up the ship that was at Dory's place? Naruto asks, gaining a surprised look from the two before they smirked back at him. Yeah, that was me. Catching Vivi was too easy, so I was bored. Why was that your? He never got to ask, as a shadow appeared in front of, leading to a hard boot, smashing into MR.5 face, sending him flying into a boulder, as the gun he was holding was left spinning in the air before falling in Naruto's hand. Yes, as a matter of fact it was. Naruto told him, glaring coldly at the man, as he crushed the gun. Nami, Usopp, Miss Valentine, MR.3 all had shock looks on their faces, while Zoro gained a vicious grin. It's got to be him, Zoro thought, watching Miss Valentine back up away from the blonde. Naruto-san sure is dangerous to have as an enemy. Vivi whispered, causing Nami and Zoro to turn to her in surprise. Good thing he is on our side now. She added without seeing the dark grin on Zoro's face, as the name Vivi said just confirm it is him. East Blues, other demons. Cough cough cough. MR.5 slow got to his feet using the boulder. Naruto frowned, rising his fist. MR.5 look up, only to see a fist less than an inch away from him, before it connected with his face. MR.5 seconds whole world exploded in pain, as his head flopped back before receiving another punch even harder than before. I can't take much more of this, MR.5 thought desperately, rising his hands up to Naruto, who stopped his attack, wondering what he was doing. MR.5. Miss Valentine shorted in horror for her partner, who was being beaten so badly by this unknown guy. Exploding clap baboom. A larger explosion consumes both of them, leaving Vivi full of worry for their new blonde ally. Naruto-san. Vivi called out to him, but then gasped at small little balls of oil hitting around their feet. Wah. Relax, he's fine. Luffy said, speaking up for the first time since the fight started, not realizing MR.3 had disappeared. As the smoke cleared, Naruto was shown to be fine in the same pose as before. It's not working. MR.5 thought, now truly frightened me. I get it now, your body is just one big bomb. Naruto glaring down at him, giving MR.5 one last punch to knock him out. Crunch. Smash crunch. Before the sound of wood being crushed caught his attention, as MR.3 in a massive battle suit that resembles a large robotic boxer reappeared. Fools, you may have been able to beat me before, but now it is over. He yells, having changed into his candle champion when he saw how powerful Naruto was and thought it might be best to go all out. This golden week, can you paint my candle champion? And make it a cool color so I can crush them without breaking a sweat. Naruto and Luffy just now realized there was a small girl with red hair here as well. Cool. Luffy said with a star in his eyes, only to get a rock thrown at him by Naruto. This is not the time to admire them, prepare to fight. Naruto yells, with Karu quacking in agreement before turning to the wax for a moment. But it does look kind of cool. The same goes for you. Just beat them already. Nami and Zoro yell, wondering how a guy that was clearly older than Luffy could act just as childish. Vivi, on the other hand, was looking around at all the oil under their feet as more and more balls of oil kept hitting the cake. Guys. Gumu, no pistol. Luffy yells, shooting his arm out to MR.3 just as Miss Goldenweek finishes painting it and he dodges under the blow. Champion punch. MR.3 yells trying to hit Luffy who easily jumps out of the way and throws his leg back. Gumu, no stamp. He called kicking at the wax at the block with its punching gloves like arms. Naruto, who had been watching the whole thing, stepped forward to help but stopped as someone else caught his attention. I'm a little busy right now so let's make this quick. Naruto said, turning to Miss Valentine who bore a big grin on her face. I don't feel like dealing with you scumbags any longer than need be. Scumbags? That just means. Miss Valentine said, shouldering her umbrella. But before you go saying that, you should know I'm much stronger than MR.5. She told him to jump into the air and launch a kick to his neck, but while it landed, it seemingly did nothing at all. The hell, I didn't even feel that. Naruto thought, but then became tense at the deadly smirk on the woman's face. 10,000 kilograms down. Naruto's eyes widen as an unbelievable amount of weight suddenly falls on top of him, crushing the blonde into the ground, making a crater around them. That's what that fool gets. MR.3 laughed and believed the guy was dead as Nami looked on in horror. Hey, is that Naruto guy okay? Nami asks, worry about the man whose name she only just learned. No way that was enough to kill him. Zoro thought while Vivi's head was moving back and forth and side to side a mile a minute. Guys, oil, lots of oil. Lots and lots of oil. Vivi said at super speed, freaking out a bit as Luffy jumped back from MR.3. No way that is going to kill him. I just had a fight with that guy, he's strong as hell. Luffy yelled back as MR.3 just smirked, leaning on the cake that was turning Zoro, Nami, Vivi, and Brogy into candles. Yeah right. He dead, and once I kill you these four are done. Fire star. Usopp yelled, jumping out into the open, shooting a small ball of fire at the cake where the oil was lighting it and MR.3 candle champion on fire. Usopp, there you are, but what are you doing? Luffy yelled. Usopp just waved for him to calm down. Relax, that stuff just wax so it'll melt under flame. Usopp told him as they suddenly heard the sound of rocks moving. Turning to the source, they saw Naruto digging himself out of the hole and holding Miss Valentine Day by the leg while rubbing his shoulder that at the moment was killing him. Damn it, lady. That shit really hurt. Naruto growled, pulling her up into the air as she tried to keep skirt from falling open. Shut up. And how the hell are you even able to hold me like this when I weigh over 22,000 pounds? Miss Valentine shouted, but Naruto wasn't in the mood for this. Like hell I'd tell you that, just get lost. Naruto shouted before hurling Miss Valentine clean out of the forest like a pro baseball player. The lady sailed off into the sky screaming with a twinkle. However, reality just set in for Naruto. Namely, that this place had gotten a lot hotter than before. He looked up to see a giant ball of fire where the cake once was. Hey, what the hell just happened? Naruto shouted in alarm. Where does all that fire come from? Hey Usopp, are you sure they're going to be okay? It's really hot. Luffy asks, but just then a ball of melting wax falls out before melting completely, releasing MR.3. Hot, you. How could you? MR.3 yells, looking at Luffy before running off. You've completely destroyed my candle service. Hey, are you going to run away? Yell after the man, and Karoo was right behind him. What about your crew that is on fire at the moment? Naruto thought of sweat dropping as the kid ran off. Suddenly two people jump out of the flames in front of Usopp. Damn it, Usopp. Couldn't you think of a better way to free us than that? Nami cried, ripping off her shirt that had caught on fire, and Naruto was surprised to see the two alive and well. It's fine. A new voice joined in as Zoro leaped out, as well over them, patting away the flames on his body. He got us out in one piece, so it was okay with the way he did it. That right, you should be thanking me for saving you guys. Usopp told them as they smiled back. That's right, thanks. Nami said with a grin. Yeah, but I still can't believe we're alive. Vivi said as Zoro smirked at the shadow looming over them. You're thankful too, right, giant? Zoro asks as Brogy comes out of the flames grinding, and Usopp couldn't be happier at seeing the big guy alive. Yeah, I'm thankful, alright. He replied as Naruto walked over to them. Naruto, scan you okay? Vivi cheered, running to him, while Nami, who was grateful for the help, was still trying to figure out who he even was, but Brogy sitting down caught all their attention. There are still 2 enemies left, right? What the hell is this? Luffy and Karoo had been chasing MR.5 into the woods when they came upon what MR.5 called Candle Garden, which had a lot of candle clones of him everywhere. Can you tell which one is the real me? MR.5 asks him way in the background, laughing as Luffy looks around. You are clearly fighting the wrong guy because I am one of Baroque Works agents. Baroque Works agents, and someone like you who does everything based on his instincts, cannot find the real me. I am MR.3, I always complete my work. So come closer, as soon as your back is to me I will stab you in the heart. MR.3 then kept on laughing even as Luffy threw his leg back and Gumu Gumu no stamp. Shooted forward, smashing him in the face. With a bloody face he passed out, but not asked. How did you know I was here? Luff just looks on for a moment, happy with his work. Instincts. Luffy replied as Karoo spotted Miss Gildenweek. Quack. Karoo quack out loudly before rushing over to the girl and headbutting her into a tree, knocking the girl out. Luffy and Karoo walked back to camp while covering their ears from the loud sound from the place, only to find it was Brogy crying over his fellow giant's death. Wow. He made a rainbow. Luffy exclaimed while the others didn't seem to be happy about this. It looks like he is trying to make a waterfall. Zoro added as he and Naruto were the only ones not covering their ears. That is great and all, but will he be stopping anytime soon? Naruto asks, leaning against a tree with his arm crossed, wishing the giant would pipe down a bit. I hope so, he is being too loud. Nami yelled, while Vivi added that her ears were going to burst. It's okay, I understand how you feel, Mr. Brogy. Cried too, as the giant went on waking. Who's making all that noise? Dory sitting up, shocking the hell out of Brogy and causing everyone else's eyes to nearly pop out of their heads. It seems I passed out for a while. Dory groans as Brogy looks on, shaking with everyone else cheering that he was alive. Upon asking how he was still alive, Dory just points out it was most likely because of the weapons they had been using. That makes sense, Naruto causing everyone to turn to him. These weapons might be made to last, but a fight lasting 100 years is too much for any blade to bear. I know this is kind of late, but who is right? Nami asks as Brogy hugs Dory, glad he was alive. When they started to fight again she had to forget said question to break it up. Naruto and Luffy just laugh as everyone went to work wrapping up Dory's wounds and started eating the rice crackers Miss Gildenweek had left behind. It was around this time Vivi remembered something important from before all this happened. Naruto-san, earlier you said knew a way off this island, right? Vivi asks to catch Usopp and Nami's attention as the blonde turns to her, finishing off a rice cracker and nodding. Yeah, you see I have eternal poses to an island called Snicked. Anything he meant to say ended as he was just barely able to jump away from the blade, coming just within reach of his face. Before long Naruto was doing quick back steps so as not to be cut by the 3 blades coming at him. Wah, Zoro. What the hell are you doing? Vivi yells as Luffy, Usopp and Nami watch in horror of Zoro attacking their new friend. Naruto for the most part wasn't sure why this guy was even attacking him, but now that he took a closer look, it seemed like he might have known him from somewhere before. Got a cut on the cheek, then the forearm, and now the leg. It dawned on him just who this kid was. Acting fast, Naruto caught the next attack with his right hand followed by the left, stopping the next, right, as Zoro was about to attack with the sword in his mouth he quickly froze, as if sensing danger. You were about to bite my blade in half, Zoro asked more than stated, as this was the first time he had run into any willing to try that. Naruto just gave a dangerous smirk back at him. Of course, Rorano Zoro-kun, pirate hunter of the East Blue Sea. Luffy, Usopp, Vivi, and Nami were surprised to hear Naruto say Zoro's name and wonder if the two knew one another. I was hoping I'd get to meet you someday, Demon Eyes Uzumaki. Naruto, the treasure hunter East Blue Sea. Luffy's eyes widen as he gains stars in them. I knew I'd heard that guy's name before. Luffy exclaimed, catching Usopp, Vivi, and Nami's attention. That guy was a super bounty hunter back in East Blue, as Zoro was famous. Luffy said, getting gasps from Nami and Usopp. Wait a minute, he is from the same sea as us. Usopp asked, surprised to some who had beaten them to the Grand Line from East Blue. Jumping back, Zoro grind. This guy may be from the East Blue, but he's no bounty hunter. From the new papers I always got the feeling he was more of a treasure hunter than bounty hunter. Zoro told them to catch Nami's right away. Treasure hunter, Nami's mouth said, but the berry marks in her eyes gleamed, freaking Usopp and Vivi out a little. You can ask him later, but right now I think it's time we find out which of us is the stronger demon of the East. Zoro's words had Luffy bouncing up and down, excitement at the fight to come, as Usopp, Vivi, and Nami to step back, while Naruto gave a rather vicious smirk, his eyes turning red. If you want to fight me, that's fine, just a heads up though, I'm pretty damn bad at holding back. Hello, you've reached the shitty restaurant. Can I take your order? Sanji said into the Denden Mushi. He had just finished catching his prey a little while ago for the contest he and Zoro had been having and had been looking for everyone after realizing no one came back to the ship when Sanji had come upon this wax house in the middle of nowhere. After enjoying some tea that had been left out, he was about to return to his search when the Denden Mushi in this place had gone off. Cut the crap, jackass. The voice said, apparently it startled Sanji as he raised an eyebrow, not sure who this event was. Why haven't you sent a report? Report? Who is this? Sanji asked, and the voice clearly growled at his insolence. It's me Mr.0. The name surprised Sanji greatly, realizing he was speaking with one of the crocodile aka Mr.0. I've given you a mission, and now I would like to know its progress. Crocodile practically snarled mission. Sanji thought, beginning to understand what was going on. Why aren't you answering me? Crocodile asked, wanting to know if he had eliminated Vivi and the Straw Hats. Thinking things over, Sanji knew what to do at this point and assured him that everyone who knew his secret is dead now, so they didn't come after them anymore. Oh? Well, then. Arigato. I have sent the unluckies to check up on your mission, and they shall bring it to you. Crocodile said, having calmed down at believing the Straw Hats were dead. It? Sanji asked, and it was clear he thought the man had a death wish. The eternal pose. To Alabasta. Come to Alabasta with Ms. Gildenweek. It's time to accomplish our desires. I will send you more details after you've arrived. Sanji nodded, knowing that having that would make things so much easier on them in the long run. About replied, he had just happened to look at the window to see a large vulture, wearing a yellow aviator cap with red flowers on it and had on black goggles, was sitting there with a small otter with brown fur who had on a blue coat with purple dots that also has long sleeves and a hood. He also wears black sunglasses. What the hell are these guys? Sanji said in a faint voice, trying not to let Mr.0 know he had been startled by something, but when the otter pulled out a pair of bivalve seashells with short yet very sharp claws along the front edge, and the vulture lowered its head showing a pair of machine guns strapped to its back, Sanji had two words going through his mind at that moment: oh shit. Back at camp with Luffy and the others. Aboom Zoro had just managed to jump back from Naruto's attack that left a rather big hole in the ground where he hid it. A normal person would have, or most likely should have, been concerned by this, but then again, Zoro was far from normal. Instead, his smirk shifted into a grin as he landed on his feet with all three swords at the ready. Luffy-san, shouldn't we stop this? Vivi asked, as she and Nami made sure to stay next to their captain where it was safest at the moment. Nah. They're just having fun, Luffy exclaimed, causing Vivi and Nami to swear to drop at the guy. It's a lost cause, Vivi. Nami said with a sigh. Vivi also sighed and looked at her. But if this keeps up, one of them is going to get hurt really badly. I doubt it. Nami replied. You do? Why? Vivi asked. Because one of them will be dead before they can feel anything. Nami said with a straight face. Nami-san. Cried Vivi admonishingly as the two giants, currently sitting off to the side, watched Naruto and Zoro fighting it out amongst themselves, surprised that such small beings were so powerful. Dashing out of the smoke, Naruto had a very crazed expression on his face as he leaped at Zoro with his fist pulled back and red eyes flashing. Iron Fist of the Crimson Demon. Naruto came crashing down on Zoro, who made an X shaped with his blades to block the blow, and a crater formed under him on the ground from the impact and damn near knocked him off his feet. Crimson Demon Roar. Naruto howled, this time knocking him off his feet, but Zoro was able to stabilize himself by stabbing his blades into the ground and using his feet to stop moving. Okay, you've had your fun. Santoryu Hawk Wave. Zoro yells, sending a flying slash at him that cuts Naruto through the shoulder and sending him flying back, landing in a kneeling position. Santoryu Onigiri. Snapping his head up, Naruto saw Zoro coming at him with a three-way simultaneous lashing attack and dash off while pushing his right hand forward. Crimson Devil style open palm thrust. Naruto yells as they clash, forcing Nami and Vivi to hold onto Luffy to keep from getting blown away as Usopp and Karoo hold onto a tree. He stops Zoro's sword with his bare hand. What the hell is that guy? Usopp shouted as the two stopped moving for a moment to glare at one another. You're way too cocky, you could have lost that hand. Zoro said, watching blood bleed out of Naruto's palm as the blonde eyes furry at realizing he was right. Fine, then let's complete switch over to the devil style. Zoro, startled by his words, jumped back and readying himself as Naruto held his hands back, and Zoro could have swore he saw this guy claws get longer. Crimson Devil style spinning rapier claws. Naruto yells, rushing to Zoro and uses his right arm to slash at Zoro, who blocks using his swords in an X-style shield, but his eyes widen at four cuts appearing on his right creek. Didn't Zoro block that? Nami thought in horror at watching Naruto spin around and slash at Zoro with the other hand. Again Zoro blocked, and again four more cuts appeared, this time his right shoulder. This guy. He is spinning so fast his slash is cutting through the air. Luffy gasps, watching his Zoro begin backstepping to avoid getting cut to pieces before finally dash backwards and putting some space between the two. Now you've done it. Santoryu Torigari. Zoro yells, placing his hand swords over his mouth blade and swings forth a forward descending slash at Naruto, who dashed forward and coming shoulder to shoulder with Zoro before he even completed his attack. Race in stage 2. Zoro heard those words whisper in his ear as a blue light lit up below him, and looking down Zoro saw the blonde holding a blue ball of energy. Whatever it was, the moment Naruto hit him with it, Zoro felt a new type of pain. Like something was drilling into him. Jihei! Zoro screamed and was sent flying as the two swords in his hand shot up into the air by the blow as he bounced off a tree before he collapsed to the ground on his back. Shit, that hurts. Zoro's voiced, it coming out in a pain growl as he pulled a Wado out of his mouth, about to get up, but stop it, feel something with a sharp edge poking him in the neck. Looking up, he saw Naruto standing over him while holding Sandai Kitetsu and Zoro's other long sword, both aimed at his neck. No way. Zoro lost. Usopp cried out as Nami and Vivi gasped. This was the first any of them seen beaten like this, and by now Luffy had stars all over his eyes. Have fun, kid? Naruto asks, smirking. Something. Zoro returns. Yeah. Yours really? Before Zoro could finish, Naruto's eye darted to his right as something black came flying at his head and was barely able to block in time as he was knocked off Zoro by Sanji. Sanji, Nami, and Vivi yell at seeing the cook appear out of nowhere. Oi oi oi. He may be a pain in the ass, but I can't let you take him out. Mr.3. Sanji said, start leading everyone, this guy is mixing me up for that wax asshole. Naruto thought, seeing Sanji changing at him again. Hey, wait a minute, Sanji, it is not what you think. Nami shouted, trying to stop the clash between the two as Naruto used Zoro's sword to block all of Sanji's kicks. Jackass, those aren't your sword, give me back. Sanji growled, going for a mutton shot as Naruto pulled his arm back for an iron fist attack, but to both their surprise, an arm wrapped around Sanji's torso and pulled him out of midair. Luffy? Sanji gasped at being brought over to Luffy, Nami, and Vivi. Boy, calm down. That guy is not Mr.3. Luffy said, setting Sanji on the ground as Zoro walked over to Naruto and took back his swords. It took a full 3 minutes to bring Sanji up to speed. What the hell, so all that happened while I wasn't here? Sanji said in disbelief that he missed such a battle. Yeah, but Sanji, how do you know about Mr.3? Nami asks, but the only thing she got in return was him telling her how sexy she was without a shirt. Naruto just sits back watching them talk about some guy named Mr.0 and how Sanji fools him into believing they were all dead or something. What the hell are these kids talking about? Naruto wonders as Usopp cries tears of joy and despair. Even though no one is trying to kill us anymore, we still can't get off this island. Usopp cries, confusing Sanji a little. Can't get off? What do you mean? Do we still have some business here, even though I just got this thing? Sanji pulls out an eternal poses Alabasta, then sweat drops at the shocked look on his crew's faces as they all jump in the air for joy. These guys are really odd. Naruto mutters while walking over to Luffy, who was talking about having a rice crackers party. Hey Luffy. Naruto calls as said boy turns from Nami, who was telling him they needed to get out of there now, as soon as possible. Yo Naruto, what up? Luffy asks as he walks up to him. Listen, I got a favor to ask, I need a ride to the next island to buy a new ship. Naruto said as Luffy started tilting his head like some curious puppy. What are you talking about? In my crew now, and we already have a ship. Luffy answered, freezing everyone in their tracks as Naruto blinked at the boy a few times, not sure if he heard right. In your crew? When did that happen? Naruto asked everybody else, ready knowing the answer when it came to their captain, but wanted to see how this played out. Just now. Luffy replied. Just now. Naruto once more. Yep, just now. Luffy replied again. After a few seconds, Naruto sighs and turns around. Okay, if you say so. Naruto walking away. Just like that. Everyone shouted at how easily he joined. Well, Ikariabachu said I'd be better off in the crew sailing through the Grand Line, that, and kind of like these guys, so it should be fine. Naruto thought, not really caring, while heading back to Dory's place to get his stuff. Nami's head just dropped at the whole thing. I hope this isn't how it's going to be for all the guys who Luffy gets to join. Nami thought as they all headed back, missing the grim look on the giant's face. Going merry. Can't you see? My rhinoceros is bigger. Sanji growls at Zoro. Then you must be blind, because mine is definitely bigger than yours. Zoro snapped back as the two went at it over who won their hunting competition. On deck, Naruto listened to Vivi as she told him what was happening in her country at the moment and why Luffy and his crew was helping her. Didn't think I'd run into a Shichibukai this soon. Naruto thought about looking forward to testing his own power against one of the warlords of the Seven Seas. Nami quickly brought an end to Zoro and Sanji's argument as they just cut up the dinosaur and sailed off. Can't we bring more meat? Luffy asks, even though they were full of said food. Don't be silly, are you trying to sink our ship? Usopp yells as they sail through the forest. Hey, check it out, the giant came to see us off. Naruto said, sitting on the top deck with his back on the rail while eating a cup of ramen. The small humans who came to this island. Brogy said, causing them to go quiet for a moment. They have a big reason for not reaching the next island. Dory continued, as both of them stood at the island exitway in cloaks. You have protected our honor with your life. So no matter what will come, we won't let anything happen to your flag. Trust in us. No matter what happens, we want you to keep heading straight. After hearing their words, Luffy agreed without a second thought even, as a huge-ass freaking goldfish the size of an island popped up out of the sea and swallowed them. Heading straight. Usopp kept yelling to keep himself from freaking up. We were eaten. Why are you still saying that? Nami cries out to him, as Luffy seems to be having the time of his life. Man, these kids are so troublesome. Oh well, want some ramen? Naruto asks while still sitting in the same spot while pulling out another cup and offering it to Vivi who sat next to him. Yes please. Vivi said softly, taking the cup of ramen with tears falling down her face at how crazy this crew was and that the new guy was just like them. Suddenly a giant hole in the goldfish was blown open, sending them flying out as they heard Dory and Brogy shout the words "Holy Wind Lance" at them as they landed back into the sea. They can even cut the ocean. This is the power of Elubabu's warriors. Usopp said with tears in his eyes. It takes a few minutes for them to calm down from the height of it all as they sail off to Alabasta. So the next stop is your home country, huh? Naruto said to Vivi who smiled back at him. Yeah, I can't wait. Vivi reptile, as Nami walked up to them and sat next to Naruto. So, what do I hear about you being a treasure hunter? Nami asked, but only one thing ran through Naruto's mind at the moment. Why the hell are her eyes in the shape of freaking berry markers? Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, link is in the description. See you next time, till then sayonara.